Hey guys, David here for Living on iPad, and I just wanted to jump on this stream really quickly. I think we've got the wrong thumbnail up, but who cares? Just wanted to jump in. Apple has just had their earnings call, so wanted to just jump on here, and if anyone's got any questions about it, don't know if anyone else was watching, but in terms of how Apple did in the last quarter up to September, obviously they normally have the iPhones being released, so we were expecting a little bit of a drop in terms of what was going on compared to normal, and they have smashed expectations basically, compared to what I think everyone was expecting given what's been going on. Hey everyone, hey Gabriel Bradley, hey, how are you doing? Thank you for joining the notification squad. Right, so I don't know if any of you guys have actually been watching this. I have made some notes. Just let me know if the sound's okay, because I know on the last show it was a bit terrible. I think we've managed to fix it now because we're using this bad boy. But yeah, so started off with Tim Cook in a very different way to normal, who said good afternoon. Normally we expect a good morning from Tim every time we have an event of any sort. Do excuse me guys, my throat is a little bit scratchy, so I'm going to just crack open a Diet Coke. But yeah, Tim Cook onto the call with good afternoon. Talked about having to make difficult calls with limited information through COVID, everything that's been going on, and essentially 64.7 billion is their revenues for the September quarter, without iPhones, which is 1% up from last time. Oh, I thought I'd fix that. Sorry guys if the title's not updated, but I did edit it in here, and I just wanted to kind of jump on. But don't worry about it, we can fix all that stuff afterwards. If you want to jump in, that is great. But yes, so 64.7 billion in revenues for the September quarter with no iPhones, 1% up from last year, which did include the iPhone 11 launch. I think we are kind of aware at this point as well that the iPhone 12 launch, first 12 and 12 Pro without the Mini and without the Pro Max, has also been about double the demand of the entire iPhone 11 range. So we know it's going to be a big year this time for Apple, based on what we're hearing so far. I know there's only a few people in this stream, but it doesn't matter. This is some stuff that we can reuse for other stuff later. But yeah, products overall dropped slightly because of the lack of iPhones, but then the additional revenue that they got from the services side of things has kind of made up for it. They were about, I really struggle to interpret the way that their numbers are written, but we were looking at 12.511, I'm guessing, million. Must be 12,511,000,000, and that's gone up to 14,549,000,000 in terms of services. The products dropped by about 1 billion, but it looks like they've picked up about 2 billion on services. So that's my best interpretation of the numbers. We're not going to get anything super in-depth. Yes, Sander, Apple's definitely doomed. For some reason, even though all of this has happened, the stock price has dropped by like 4% immediately that the call started when the numbers came out. So obviously traders on Wall Street not really quite understanding what an impact I think the iPhone launch makes. So do expect the next quarter's results to be an absolute devastating blow to everyone outside of Apple. But yeah, absolutely bear in mind that we're going to have the whole of the iPhone launch. We're going to have the iPad Air is going to be into that as well, because that didn't start shipping until into October. We're going to have anything from Apple Silicon that is coming out. We're going to have new Macs at the November event. So yeah, absolutely, Apple is finished. We should probably all buy Windows, or at the very least Linux laptops at this point. What else have we got here? So yeah, an all-time record for Mac as well. So they did 9 billion in Mac sales in the last quarter, which is the most they've ever done, and not by a small amount. I think it was 1.6 billion more than the previous best quarter they'd ever had. Tim was saying that they had done a lot more push on the back to school for Macs this time than ever before, and you were getting free AirPods, which, to be completely honest, if you could buy, I think you could buy an iPad and get free AirPods, and it could have been any iPad, so you could buy a $329 iPad and get $159 worth of AirPods for free, which is just absolute madness. They had a stronger than expected performance, as I said, on services. So the services side of things, which is Apple News, Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, all of that stuff, better than expected. And Tim announced that Apple One is going to be going live as of tomorrow. So that's very exciting. That was, I think, the first time that they've mentioned what date it was going live. I know they said fall, and then they've said later this year for Apple Fitness Plus. So I'm guessing it's just going to be the individual and the family plans for Apple One that go live tomorrow. And then Premium will, I can only assume, go live once Fitness Plus is available too. Ahmed, hello. Aaron Sharma, hello. Hello, you guys. Excuse my hiccups. But yes, just to recap, an absolute killer quarter for Apple, up 1% on this time last year, without any iPhone launch. So that is absolutely stunning. Really, really good results on the services side, which has helped to prop it up. I think they actually lost about 10 billion on the iPhone side of things, and made up for that with the other stuff that they've picked up. So that's pretty good going. Direction for December, they've refused to give any financial direction for what will happen in the next quarter, because obviously with COVID and everything else going on, it makes it very, very difficult. If you guys have got any questions, by the way, in the live chat, you guys that are watching me live, please do leave your questions in there. I know the title of this doesn't actually make any sense, but if you have got questions about anything either to do with this earnings call, because I was sitting there listening to the whole thing, or in general on Apple stuff, Apple Silicon, the iPhones, which iPhone, which iPad you should buy, whether you should buy an Intel Mac at the moment, which you definitely shouldn't, anything like that. I've just answered that one for you anyway, but anything like that, just drop it into the chat there, and if you use the hashtag #ICaveAnswers, that will help me out a little bit so that I can sort of sift through them. But yes, annual revenues for Apple, $274.5 billion, grew by double digits in every category other than the iPhone. Apple has more cash on hand than the US government. Yes, they do, and actually they've got more than I have right now. Fun fact, true story. Yeah, Apple One will be... This is the one kind of piece of real news, I think, is that Apple One is going to be launching tomorrow, which is really cool. They're expecting iPhone revenues to grow, obviously, in this next quarter, because they didn't have the launch in the normal quarter that they had before. So, Ahmed, how will Apple One service work if you want 2 terabytes of iCloud storage but don't want Apple Fitness Plus? Right, it will actually work out cheaper if you were to have the whole thing, if you want the 2 terabytes of storage. So right now I use Apple TV Plus, I use Apple Music Plus on a family plan. We use 2 terabytes of iCloud, and I think that's it, which comes to about £24, something like that, a month. It's going to be $29 for the family premium plan, which is what we're going to go to, because myself and my wife both want the Fitness Plus as well. So that makes sense for us. I don't know, though, if you could do a family plan which comes with, or even an individual plan, and then upgrade just the storage. I don't know if there'll be like a discount off of it onto it. Yeah, I know, Sander. It's crazy to believe that Apple is richer than me with my beautiful studio right here. Apologies for drinking sounds, guys. But yes, so a really pretty epic day all round. Tim Cook has said he's very bullish on this iPhone cycle. 4 models for the first time ever. Reaching out to switchers, a once-in-a-decade opportunity with 5G, and off to a great start with the 12 and 12 Pro. And as I mentioned earlier, the 12 and 12 Pro between them, it looks like they have about doubled the pre-orders that happened for iPhone 11 for the entire range that was available right from the start there. This was only half the range, and it's already smashed expectations. But Apple always does really well when they do like a real redesign. The kind of form factor that we've had for the iPhone 11 goes back to the 10, I guess, and the 10s. They had very similar form factors, but actually, if you look from the other side of it, you would also see that the form factor fits all the way back to the 6, really, in terms of the rounded edges and everything. Kevin N. Did the analysts dig in about Mac Silicon on November 17th presentation? So, there was no particular mention of Apple Silicon. Tim did say for the first time, which they never say normally, that we have got more great products coming out this year, which is very nice to have at least had that. That could be the Apple Silicon that he's talking about. It could also be AirTags, but we're almost certainly going to get some sort of Apple Silicon this year. They did mention it at WWDC. Just an ordinary person, thank you for your kind words about the videos. And yet, none of us can wait for Apple Silicon. All very, very excited about that. We will be getting some sort of Apple Silicon Mac by the end of the year. There was some stuff that dropped today, I believe, in the Big Sur 11.0.1 beta that has come out to developers. That had got references to 3 new Macs, they think, in it. There was not very much detail in there, so it's quite difficult to know, but it could be a MacBook, a MacBook Pro, and an iMac, potentially, or... Like, I still think a Mac Mini would be a really good thing to start off with, but it's just not as showy as doing an iMac, because iMacs just look cool. So not quite sure what they will do with that. AirTags almost certainly will be here by the end of the year. Really hope, because they're supposed to be in iOS 14.3, and we're on 14.2 right now, I think. Will I get an Apple Silicon Mac, or will I wait? I am going in day one. I will be ordering one. In fact, my wife is probably going to be getting an Apple Silicon MacBook or MacBook Pro, depending on what they bring out first of all. So we'll be unboxing that. I do need to replace the iMac that I'm working on right now, which is a 27-inch 2013, which is, it still does everything I need. It's doing this live stream with 3 displays going, and it says an excellent collection, so I'm hoping that it looks okay to you guys and sounds pretty good. But this is streaming from my iPhone, which is plugged in through OBS, and that's how we're doing it. But when I did the benchmarks the other day on my iMac, it came out that it is about, this brand new iPad Air is about 50% faster than my big old desktop. So this gets a single core of 1550-ish, and that gets a single core of about 923. This has the fastest single core performance of anything that Apple makes. Just to be clear, I think the fastest Mac that you can buy gets about a 1200, which is kind of in line with the iPad Pros as well. Cool, Kevin, thanks for buying an Apple Silicon MacBook Pro. Connection is perfect. Oh, cool, awesome. I'm glad it's all working well. I can't even say the name of my own thing. I gave answers. What is the likelihood of a redesigned MacBook Pro 16-inch by the end of this year? I'm going to go with somewhere in the region of like 5%. I don't think we're likely to see a 16-inch by the end of this year. There have been references to a 2020 16-inch MacBook Pro that have been in some things. I think it was the boot camp thing that we were talking about the other day. And what we were trying to do was work out whether the updated graphics card in the 2019 one classed as a new product, or if it doesn't at all. I think we're kind of landed in the middle somewhere. I think it's the 2019, and it was just a part upgrade. It wasn't like a full refresh. So there may be another MacBook Pro 16-inch coming out this year, but it's likely to be an Intel one because it mentioned Boot Camp, and Boot Camp is not coming to Apple Silicon. So, sorry, don't think that'll be coming, and I definitely don't think they'll be launching any products where you can have this with Apple Silicon or with Intel, because it just makes no sense, because the Intel one's going to be more expensive and not going to do as well as the Apple Silicon version. So, that's my thoughts on that. Is there anything else in the chat that people want to know about? Just for anyone that's just joined the chat, we've been talking about the Apple earnings call. 64.7 billion in revenues, up 1% from the previous year, and there was no iPhone launch into that because it only goes up to the end of September. So absolutely stunning performance from Apple. It was basically some of the services have offset the losses that they got elsewhere. Steve Oleja. I'm going to go Oleja. I'm guessing it's more like Mexican pronunciation, but it might be Alexa. And if it is, I've just set off everyone's Amazon stuff. Do you think the upcoming AirTags will be charged to via MagSafe? So, we mentioned this in today's show, that the AirTags, basically the iPhone 12s, have got built into them the technology to do reverse wireless charging. So, my guess is, because it's said in the FTC filing for this, that it's for an upcoming product, that I think that's going to be the AirTags. I know there were rumours that they were going to be powered by like an LR44 battery or something like that. Doesn't make any sense to me because they're also supposed to be waterproof and wireless, and if you have to crack them open to do anything like that, then that's going to kill your waterproof rating. So I think that must have been early prototypes that they were doing that with, and now they've got the wireless stuff built into it, which makes far more sense. So yes, I think they will be charged via MagSafe, but I think you will also be able to charge them off the back of the iPhone as an option as well. So if you don't want to buy a MagSafe charger, you can plug your iPhone in and it will act as a MagSafe charger, if that makes sense. Kevin N, funny, but Apple is down 1%. Yes, this is something that I mentioned earlier. They were down 4% at one point, but it's obviously bounced back a little bit. All of the expectations were set earlier in the year when we still thought that iPhones would be coming in this quarter. So the reason that they probably dropped a little bit is traders that were looking at, this is my expectation, this is what's actually happening. Sorry, just had to sort out the foot of the tripod there. This is the expectation, this is what we've written down, this is what we've based everything on, and they haven't hit the expectations because they expected it to grow more than it did. They still grew 1% without even having the iPhones to go in. So they've done a fabulous job, and we know that this next quarter, which has already got the expectations set for it, is going to blow those out of the water because it's going to have the iPhone launch in it, which it normally wouldn't, as well as the iPad Airs. So I think they're going to do just fine. Also, it doesn't actually affect the company if they lose a bit of market cap, particularly, although the only reason you would have a problem is if the shareholders kind of lost faith in the board and then decided to get rid of them. But that would be a terrible idea at this point because they're doing so well in everything. So next up, SNSN. I don't quite know. Sunsun? The new window design in Big Sur has rounded corners. Do you think this indicates rounded corners for the new Mac design? I think they are going to put that into the Mac designs, yes, into the iMacs, and hopefully into the MacBooks as well, purely because it's also in the iPad Pro and the new iPad Air, and I think they're trying to get that rounded design into everything. So yes, I do. But it also kind of reflects the app design. All of the icons have got the rounded square corners as well now. So I think they're rounding off as much as they can. Kevin N, correction, Apple is down 5%. I did say it was down 4%. So, yeah, maybe it's just bouncing around a bit. It'll be a little bit unstable now, but it will recover. I wouldn't worry too much, especially unless, you'd only worry anyway if you happen to have stock in Apple. Aaron Skinner, do you think iPad Pro with keyboard can be a laptop replacement for a university student? Unless you are studying, like, programming, potentially, or what else would you potentially struggle? Maybe with filmmaking stuff, depending, though, because I think at the November event they may well reveal Final Cut, because they've ported it already to Apple Silicon, that it may well also come to iPads and iPad Pros. Final Cut and Logic, hopefully, fingers crossed, November event. That's where I would guess it will be released, because I think they'll also be bringing out iPad Pros. So if you're looking at buying one right now, I would hold on until at least November 17th. It's like 2.5 weeks away, so hold on to it just for now. Gurma Crowler, hey, been banging my head over a decision of an iPad Pro 2020 versus iPad Air 2020. I would really prefer the ProMotion and the ease of use of Face ID over Touch ID. Right. Yes, iPad Pro, I mean, it's a closer thing between iPad Pro 2018 and iPad Air 2020, because they are, the 18 and the 20 are basically the same on performance, and the iPad Air beats both on single core and graphics, but doesn't beat them on multi-core. But it's not much difference. It's going to be pretty much the same in terms of performance. The difference will be things like the ProMotion and Touch ID versus Face ID, but if you're going for it in the current climate, Touch ID might be better if you're going to be using it out and about in cafes and stuff like that, where you might need to wear a face covering. So just bear that in mind. I found the Touch ID on it mildly annoying. I've got the new iPad Air right here, and actually the Touch ID on it is good. It's quick, but I keep pressing it, and it brings you into an app, and I automatically then press it again, thinking it's like a home button, and that just turns it off, and that annoys me. I do that at least 3 or 4 times a day. Other than that, I really like this thing. It's really, really cool. So yeah, check out though, Luke Miani has done a direct comparison video, and he thought if you had the same pricing, like if you were buying a used 2018 iPad Pro 11-inch versus a brand new one of these for about the same price, he would go with the Pro. So I'll leave that with you. Do I like the Mac OS Big Sur redesign? Right. Just an ordinary person, do I like the macOS Big Sur redesign? I think it looks awesome. I've used it briefly on this iMac, which is not supported by it. It was a pain in the arse to get it to run on it, and I did, but I could only get the first build of it running, so it was very, very buggy when I was doing it. I do like the look, and I'm sure it will run beautifully as soon as it's on a product that can actually run it officially. Gumir Chawla. Gumir Chawla. Let's go with that. iPad Air 2020 only had A14 and a better price point. Any guidance? Yes, it's got an A14, but A14 is more powerful than the A12X and A12Z. In most cases, it's very, very good to use. Like, you're not going to struggle with performance on it at all. So, in terms of any guidance, I'm not sure what you're asking me for there, but I think it's awesome. Kevin N, good opportunity, good buying opportunity, I'd say. What, for the iPad Pro 2018? Hopefully, if that's what you're saying, then I definitely agree. Tech Review 2000. This guy is cool. Go and check out his channel. He flies stuff up on drones and then drops it from a great height. There's some beat stuff that he's been dropping and all that kind of thing, and I think it's awesome. Go and check his channel out. SNSN, nice one. Cool, thank you. Glad you like the answer. Whether you agree with me or not, doesn't really matter. I'm just telling you what I think. Sander Hoogland, people are just in shock because of Apple's performance. They wanted Apple to die so badly that they tried to help a bit by making the stocks go down. You know what? All they're doing is selling it a bit. That's the only reason it drops, is because some people sell it. So if they want to sell it, that's fine. It's dropped a little bit since they did the stock split, and that's kind of annoying because I don't think it deserves to have dropped. But, it is what it is. Doesn't really matter to us. Don't love Face ID. I'm going to be honest. Why not? Tech Review 2000. You wear a mask actually in your videos though, so it wouldn't work. But I think Face ID is awesome. But because I carry an iPhone XS, which is the one that we're on right now, and I also carry this, which is my iPhone 8 that I use for work, for my real, day job. I do find when I'm out and about and I've got my mask on, I'll just grab that out of my pocket and check the normal stuff on there instead. It's just helpful to have Touch ID at the moment. Gurmwachola, got it. Finally got my surname right. I'm proud. Mason Labonte, hi. Thanks very much for the compliment. Yeah, Tech Review 2000, mate, you deserve it. You do good videos. They're really entertaining. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to his channel yet, go and do it now. Pixelated Games, what do you think of the first... do I think the first gen Apple Silicon would flop? No, absolutely not. And I'll tell you for why. The past, let's say 5 to 10 years, Apple has probably had 90% of their products has run on what is becoming Apple Silicon. 90% of their products would make up iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, AirPods, all that sort of stuff. They all run with basically their own silicon. So they have been using it for quite some time. They've already been running stuff on it. We've seen how powerful it is. We've seen already that people have got it and they're already running Intel stuff on it faster than it ran on an Intel. So, I don't think there's going to be any reason to think it would flop. I know with the previous update, when they moved from PowerPC to Intel, there were issues, but it was with compatibility. None of the products were an issue, particularly. The biggest thing I think that they had was when they introduced the original MacBook Air, it was super underpowered. Ooh, fire engine going past. When they introduced the first MacBook Air, it was super underpowered. It had a slow hard drive because it was using an 80 gig iPod hard drive, I think it was. Because it was the only one that was small enough that they could find before they had SSDs that they could put in. That was 2008, I think. But it suffered from the same things that the first 12-inch MacBook had, which is they used an underpowered processor, the storage wasn't fast enough, it just couldn't do everything that it needed to do. But I think Apple Silicon is going to do really well because, in fairness, Tim Cook is probably one of the best guys going when it comes to logistics and getting stuff to work out of the box. Tech Review 2000, probably because of the mask. Yep, exactly. You do have to take it off before then, and before COVID it was really good. And thank you for coming. I know you have to go, but that's cool. Sander Hoogland. Is it Hoogland or Hoogland? I don't know. If the next iPhone has Touch ID, that will be enough of a reason for me to buy it. Face ID is not as secure for us blind people. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, when you have to... essentially, the Face ID has got that attention-based thing where you have to kind of look at the sensor almost in order for it to work, but you can turn that off if you want it to just recognise your face and not have to look at the display. I've got to say, I'm super impressed with the amount of stuff that you do. Do you use Siri to type stuff, or do you touch type? Just interested, Sander, if you let me know. Gumir, do I think the next iPad Pro could be Surface-like? I hope not. Especially not that Surface Duo piece of crap. Mac OS with Magic Keyboard and iOS otherwise. Underlying kernel and frameworks are more unified now than ever. I mean, it could be, but they've said multiple times. Craig Federighi, Air Force One, has been on stage and said that we're not unifying the two. They're not going to run the two on the same bit of kit. However, I think the thing that would be most likely would be, and we've done a kind of video on this, where I had one of my friends, Apple Tomorrow, on Twitter, had jumped into... oh, cool. Thanks, Sander. Apple Tomorrow made up some concepts for us, basically, for a Mac Mini that's about the size of an Apple TV. And actually, to be completely honest, a recent Apple TV should be able to run Mac OS in terms of power, as long as you have the inputs and outputs. And what do you need, really? If you're not going to attach a lot of peripherals, you need Bluetooth so you can have a keyboard and mouse, and you need to attach it to a display. That's kind of it for a basic computer. So, I don't think they're going to unify the two. If they were to put essentially Mac OS onto an iPad, A Dutch G. Cool. I'll look it up, my friend. Yeah, I think if they were to put it on there, the biggest issues would be like multitasking. Also, if you've got to install 2 operating systems, then that's going to take up more of your storage, and these things don't have massive storage in the first place. And it is harder to attach external storage, like that sort of thing is where you would run into problems. And the iPads are brilliant, and the amount of performance that they have is almost proportional to the amount of screen real estate that you're running on them. So they're very, very powerful for a single display. I think if you start trying to run multiple displays in true multi-display modes, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Do I think the A14 is too powerful for iPhone 12? If the A14 will be equivalent to an i7 Intel, A14 seems overkill for an iPhone. Yeah, it is, but what, you want it to be slower? Sorry, Rob. Ooh. No, I don't think it's overpowered, because for a lot of people, your phone is your kind of primary computing device. I think what would be good is if they did something along the lines of what Samsung has done with DeX, where there's a way that you can kind of blow up. Maybe the way to do it with an iPhone would be to have a connection to a TV or something like that via Apple TV with AirPlay, and then your iPhone becomes a trackpad for the majority of the time, and when you want to, or even like a trackpad and a keyboard on the screen, because you could have a trackpad at the top and then your touch keyboard underneath. I think that could work quite well as a kind of midpoint between desktop and mobile computing. And it doesn't give you Mac OS. It just gives you iPhone, like iOS or iPadOS style setup on a bigger screen. Gamir, does iPad Pro refresh at 120 on 4K on supported external displays? I don't believe that it does. I think it only outputs at 60, because it doesn't even run at 120 full time on its own display. The reason for that is ProMotion is not a it's not a 120 Hz display. It's an adaptive display technology. So the whole point with it is that it actually slows down to like 48 Hz when it doesn't need it, and it goes up to 120 when it does need it. So when you're using Apple Pencil and stuff like that, because running at 120 Hz versus 60 Hz doubles the processing power that's needed, because you're pushing twice as many frames, if that makes sense. So it wouldn't make any sense, because there's very little that you would need to do that on. But that being said, the 4K at 120 Hz, like when you put it onto a 4K display, it's the same display but upscaled anyway. So it's not actually showing you a 4K display, because it's not giving you an external monitor. It's mirroring in general. There's a few apps that support things like LumaFusion that I use for editing on the iPad. That will give you a full scope of everything that you're playing with. And on the iPad it will give you all the controls, because that's where you're touching it. Right. There's no BS like overkill performance or too powerful. No, I mean, they will always fill the amount of performance that we have with stuff to do with it. That's never going to be a problem that we're like, oh no, it doesn't need to be this powerful. Well, it probably doesn't now, but it's also going to give you the headroom for the next 4 or 5 years. Gamir, you back? Why hasn't Apple integrated Touch ID or camera system on the watch yet? Because it would be a terrible idea. Touch ID would make the cameras more, would make the watch more expensive for starters. So this is my SE. This is the new SE that's just come out. Well, Face ID is built into your phone, or Touch ID, and as soon as you unlock your phone, it unlocks the watch. So it doesn't matter. Like, why would you want a camera in it? For one thing, if you were doing a call with someone, they would be looking up your nose. So I wouldn't particularly want that for like video calling, for FaceTime and stuff. Touch ID, I mean, maybe you could put it in the side button, but until we start using Apple Watches as completely separate devices as completely standalone devices. I don't think there's any need for it, because if you've got an iPhone, as soon as you put this on your wrist, you unlock your phone with Face ID or Touch ID, and this unlocks automatically. And it stays unlocked until you take it off. And if you're only removing it once a day to charge it, is it that much of an inconvenience to type a 4-digit passcode or just pick up your phone and unlock it to unlock this on your wrist? Do you see what I mean? I could see some banks being more comfortable with Touch ID on it if you were using it for Apple Pay, maybe. But, like, you've unlocked it once and then it's stayed on your wrist, and that's what it's checking anyway, is making sure that it hasn't left you so it can identify that you've still got it. It's true though, right, Sander? I mean, like, it wouldn't be a flattering angle at any point. Jonathan Perez, hope that Mac Mini is coming soon. I think it will. I think that Mac Mini is going to be one of these sleeper devices that nobody's been talking about apart from probably me. And my big theory with Apple Silicon is that they should make a Mac Mini that you can plug into any existing Mac. It should be a low-price device, and it uses whatever display your Mac has already got. So for me, I would be able to buy a Mac Mini for $400 to $500. Plug it into my iMac. It will use the display from it, basically disable the internals, and update my Mac. So it kills e-waste. So you're not throwing displays away that work perfectly well. You're not throwing away potentially external storage. You know what I mean? It could connect through one USB cable, into an iMac, access its internal storage, access its display, access its FaceTime camera, as potato as they are, and that would just be a really good way of getting Macs into more people's hands, I think, in a really quick way, and especially of getting Apple Silicon into people's hands to see how powerful it is. I think at $350, $400, a lot of people would just go, yeah, let's try that for our next computer. You know, even if you could plug it into you could probably even plug it into a MacBook and power it from the internal battery on the MacBook, because I think the Mac Mini will probably run off a 20-watt charger, like the iPad Air or like the HomePod Mini, or something like that. Pixelated Games, would you expect Mini LED to be in Macs before 2021? Well, we haven't got a lot of before 2021 left. I think before the end of 2021, yes. I think we will probably see Mini LEDs go into iPad Pro next year. I think we'll probably see a notebook with Mini LED, probably a reasonably high-end 13-inch or 16-inch. And I think we'll probably see it in the iMacs, because that just makes sense, because that will be their showcase kind of display that they will put it into, which will kind of rival the Pro Display XDR. I think XDR displays will come to a lot more of their products. When they first brought LED panels to Macs, it was in their external displays, and then they kind of brought that technology to the iMac. G4 was the first one, which is the Sunflower iMac, which got the kind of dome base and then the beautiful metal arm and just like the floating display. So that was the first Mac. It wasn't the first Mac that got an LED display, LCD display at all, actually. There was the 20th anniversary Mac, the TAM, which was the first one. I think it was in about 2001. No, it must have been 2004, maybe. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was one of the early ones, and it was like such a weird thing. It was just like this sheet with an upright CD drive, and then speakers down the side of it. And it came with like a Bose subwoofer and stuff. It was a really odd device. But yeah, look up 20th anniversary Mac. It's a really weird thing, but it's well worth a Google. Right, if this is, it seems like we're winding down a little bit now in the questions and stuff. If anyone's got any more questions, I'm going to give you like 5 minutes. We're going to wind this up at 11 PM, which is in like 6 minutes here. So if you've got any more questions, do get them in. Chuck on that hashtag iCaveAnswers if you would like, and I will do that. ROP Lightning 21 or 22? Ooh, good question. I think we might see portless next year. I think we might. I'm not sure if they're going to put a smart connector type thing on there, where you can like attach some sort of service port kind of thing. But I think probably next year we're not going to have a lightning hole in it. Why don't you think that Apple will ditch lightning? Interested to know. Let me know, just an ordinary person. Also, mini LED iPhone 21 or 22. Don't think they're going to do it. Don't think they need to. Because the reason for mini LED is for displays that are going to be on for a long time. With an iPhone, you have it on and then you turn it off and then you turn it back on to use it and then you turn it off. So the biggest issues with OLED is that you get burn-in if stuff's left on for a long time, and you also get inconsistent brightness across larger panels, which is why it sucks so much for like big screens, and you get like inconsistent color across panels as well, especially when you're changing the refresh rates, because that's the other issue that Apple's running into with doing ProMotion on the iPhone, is that when you change your refresh rate, especially on a lot of the Android ones that have tried to do this, you will get color shift going on, and Apple would absolutely not be okay with that. So I don't think we will see mini LED on iPhone ever. Maybe micro LED when that arrives. Don't think that Apple will ditch Lightning. I think they will keep MagSafe as default charging. I think they will keep MagSafe as default charging. That's a good idea. Yeah, I think so. MagSafe as well, inside it has got an NFC coil, so you can basically detect when you're attaching to a MagSafe charger, which I've got one just up here. So inside you have a NFC coil which basically identifies what it is. You also you've got an NFC coil in there, which is why when you put it on, it can tell what colour a case is and things like that, because that's all stored in that NFC chip, the identifier. But what I think they will probably be able to do in the nearish future, because I know one of the concerns if you take away the ports is that it's going to be harder for things like CarPlay, for wired cars that have CarPlay. I think what you'll be able to do is basically when you attach your MagSafe to the car, that will basically create, I think this will have like a wireless chip in it as well, so it'll create like a mini network, and when you pop your phone onto it, the NFC activates that, and then it connects through this rather than being directly connected to the car. Have I ever heard the speakers on the 16-inch MacBook Pro? They sound insanely good for a laptop. I haven't, purely because I think, when did they come out? Was that mid last year? I wasn't in the market for a laptop at the time, and obviously this year, since I've been doing the channel, not really able to go into Apple stores and play with things. Ditch all ports essentially have the chip in MagSafe to convert wired digital data to and from NFC. Yeah, that's what I was kind of saying. Caden Camera, shout out to your channel. Shout out to Caden Camera. We already did this on one of the shows. I remember when you joined the notification squad. But shout out anyway. Right. It is coming up to closing time. We are going to finish off. I'm going to prepare tomorrow's show notes, because we have another show coming out tomorrow at 12 UTC, as usual, which we will cover some of this stuff from the earnings call. I just wanted to jump on here in case anyone had got any questions on it. You've got 2 minutes left to get questions in if you would like to. I'm happy to answer some more for the last couple of minutes. Other than that, I will grab up actually tomorrow's show notes and let you know what we are talking about so far, because there is more stuff to add in. We've got 4 new members to the notification squad. If you want to join that, just like and subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and let me know in the comments for one of the videos that you've done that. and I will give you a shout out on the next video as well. I know there's several members in the notification squad already in this video feed, and thank you so much for being here, guys. Really appreciate you all. But yes, the channel, just to give you guys a quick update on that, because I haven't really done a great deal on it. The Apple TV rumours, no, there aren't any. So they're not going to do a TV panel because it doesn't make any sense. They're going to do Macs, and you can just plug whatever panel you want into it. But I should get more recognised. Why don't you have more subscribers? Because I've only been doing this for 3 months. But this is what I was just mentioning. So the channel is pretty new. Been doing daily videos all the way through that 3 months. We're now on like 1,500, just coming up to something around that, which is fun. Ujith Mishra, can you sponsor me? How would that work? What do you have? Yeah, drop me an email. david@sangwells.co.uk. That's the best way, and we'll have a chat. Do I have any pets? Totally unrelated. I don't right now. I have 2 small children, which pretty much count. The last pet I had was a bearded dragon lizard. So that's a thing. Mac XDR is known for its quality. Yep, absolutely. It's really cool. I will put the email address in here. It's on the channel as well, but david@sangwells.co.uk. There you go. That's my email address. If you've got anything you need to talk to me about, you can do that. ARM chips, more info. Looks like the first MacBook will come out with A14 from, well, basically it will be an A14. It might have a different name. A14T going into the iMacs, which will be the more powerful version, 12 to 16 cores, not quite sure yet. A14X probably into the MacBook Pros. But we should be knowing a lot more about it on the 17th, which is not as far away as you think. So next Friday we've got the iPhones and so the iPhone mini, the 12 Pro Max and the AirPod minis going on pre-orders. And then basically the following week after that we should know about the event, and the week after that we get the event. So, yes. You didn't see the beginning? Oh, well, that's not what we were talking about on this one. So, sorry. The title might well be wrong, but it should say Apple's financial call just finished. Wow. Because they absolutely smashed all expectations, to be completely honest, even though Wall Street thought they would do more. Without an iPhone 11, without an iPhone launch in the quarter, they managed to beat last year by 1%. So just in case that was what you were asking about, there we go. My channel was created in 2012, and it had 2 personal videos on it, from A Race for Life and something else. I used to do another channel called Bartender HQ because my my work is in the drinks industry, hence all the kind of wine case backdrop here. So Bartender HQ channel still exists. It's on about 950 subscribers, but that's from 2014 onwards. But yes, my channel has existed since 2012, but I've been actively doing it and renamed it as Living on iPad about 3 months ago. And this month, in the last 28 days, we've added 980 subscribers. Now I may be able to collaborate. Yeah, cool. How long do I anticipate sneak peek at Apple search engine? I don't know. They might mention it in November, to be fair, but it looks like they were keeping it. Yeah, I know Rene Ritchie's a good guy. The information's come out about it yesterday. Everyone went, "Oh, crazy! Apple might do a search engine." We did a video on it 52 days ago. That was the first one. If you just type Apple search into the channel, you will see it. So I feel kind of vindicated that everyone started talking about it afterwards. Okay, we're going to do a couple more questions before I go. So, what new features do you think Apple Silicon will bring to macOS? Maybe in this version of Big Sur, I think Silicon will bring fun things like Spotlight with suggestions and such things. So I think Spotlight is a potentially genuine name that they might use for the search thing. But Spotlight will incorporate their own web search stuff, so that will come in. Do I watch TechLinked? Yes. In just 3 months, yes. Thank you very much, Sander. Yeah, I think we were on like 13 subscribers or something when I actually started doing this properly. Yeah, they could bring some more fun stuff. I think Touch will come to Macs at some point, but probably not until next year, maybe after WWDC. I think Face ID will be coming to the iMacs. I think they will use it to identify which student is using a Mac in schools and things like that. Urjith Mishra, what time is it here? It is just after 11 PM. Good amount of subscribers in 3 months. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's what happens when you do at least one video a day for 3 months. It's not. There's no secret to it. I just worked really hard and did lots of videos. In fact, let me have a quick look. I might be able to pull up my studio thing here. Let's have a quick look. So, sorry, you guys are not on screen right now, but if I go into analytics, yeah, 1,460 subs. Total videos is like 87 in 3 months, and yeah, if I look at the dashboard, like let's just pull this up really quickly. Boop, boop, boop. Yeah, channel analytics, current subscribers 1,460, 902 added in the last 28 days. So we got monetized last Wednesday, I think we hit everything. So yeah. Right, let's have a quick look at the last questions that are up here. Do I watch TechLinked? Yes, I've done that one. 3 months, yeah. What time has it done that? It's GMT. Let's say hypothetically my cell phone gets stolen and they run down the street and I don't notice it for an hour. The thief has an iPhone. Got to my computer and click find my iPhone. Will his phone ping where my phone is? Yes, it will do it in a encrypted way. So the Find My network that they announced at last year's WWDC, the way that it works is every iPhone and every Mac and every basically Apple device that's bigger than like AirPods will ping other devices around it so that they have like an encrypted hash, which they can use to kind of find out where other stuff is. So basically, if you report an item stolen, all of the other Apple devices around it will kind of try and find it. Hopefully that makes sense. Bravo, thank you so much. What kind of music do I like? Barbershop and a cappella, weirdly enough, but I am quite obsessed with Hamilton right now. I gave answers. Do you know? You will know when you are successful when there are spam bots in the comments. There are already spam bots in the comments. There were for quite a while before I was even close to 1,000 subs. Hell yeah. I think the U1 chip makes a lot of sense on small devices such as Apple Pencil, AirPods and such. So do I. AirPods definitely dropping them down the side of the couch. Apple TV remotes, that would be cool. What in the world is Barbershop even? It's 4-part close harmony sung a cappella. But the Barbershop style is defined by a predominance of 7th chords. So there you go. I used to sing in a Barbershop quartet. If you're interested, check out, there is an awesome group called Ringmasters. Type in Ringmasters Notre Dame into YouTube and enjoy for the next 15 minutes or so. It is astonishing. No U1 on iPad Air to locate other devices. I don't know, I've never pulled it apart. There probably isn't though, they didn't mention it. But yeah, that's weird. You would have thought so, but maybe it's more useful in the smaller stuff. And actually with the iPad Air you can kind of ping stuff anyway. I don't know why they didn't, if they didn't. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. I don't think there's any more questions coming in right now. If there is, drop them in the comments of this video and I will answer them on tomorrow's video that goes out at 12 UTC, 12 GMT tomorrow, middle of the day. When I first saw you, I thought you had 1 million subs. You're so professional, but you're only 50p, 500. Okay. Oh, cool. Thank you. Yeah. No, I'm not quite up there yet. Symphonic metal, like Trivium and stuff? I kind of like Trivium. I used to work at Kerrang for a while. But cool. Yeah, awesome, guys. Thank you all so much for being here. Let's anyone that wants to join the notification squad, do it. Let me know, and I will shout you out. Thank you so much, and I'm signing off. See you later.